Anyway, what I was saying was he's a complete freaking moron in a lot of ways. That he would, I remember the video I did one night because we had gotten into a discussion and he kind of came at me about something, and I said, well, and he said, oh, no, nobody could ever have $1 million company in the washing thing. And I said, oh shit, we're live, sorry. My bad. I'm sorry. Hey, welcome everybody. Anyway, let me finish up my story, guys. Y'all just have to bear with us on this. But it would have been about 3 years ago. And I literally said, look, I have nothing to hide. I'm actually quite proud of this company. And, here's my QuickBooks. And like I've done half a dozen times on here, I went into the QuickBooks and said, here's the QuickBooks. And I'm walking through the office. And I remember I was singing the Hanamanat song because he was just being so freaking obnoxious. And I was like, okay, here's my 4 service trucks. Here's my backup 5th service truck. The reason that I'm online right here at midnight is because we just got back from being called out on an emergency service. By the way, here's my QuickBooks. And he was like, oh, you could make up those. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on here live with you. I literally have a fake set of QuickBooks sitting here just to do that. In the chance encounter that I would go live with a moron to make myself look better.
But that's the ignorance of some of this, right?
That really and truly is the ignorance when we called out on something. And it's like, oh, well, I need to see deeds to a house and I need to see blah, 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 because I own property. And I'm like, good. You want to see my freaking IRA and my if a pile of shit hits you in the face and you get shit in your nose, and I'm so sorry, people. Doug got me spun up on a conversation. And you literally,
before we started,
you're blowing shit out of your nose, and you're like, that's vanilla ice cream or fudge. Ugh. You're an idiot if you can't sit there and call shit, Well, so anyway, welcome.
And just so y'all know, I'm still trying to recover from my 2nd round of COVID. So when I start coughing and I get an uncontrolled fit, I may just X out of here because sometimes it happens and I can't talk anymore. So, which I guess is a good thing for some people. Anyhow, what we're going to talk about this evening is it's your fault. And I'm referring to Ray right there. It is definitely his fault, no matter what you do, how you do, or why you do. And this, yes, is spinning off of a online conversation that happened on one of the forums today. But it's bigger than that, and it's more than that. And so we wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. And it does segue into plant and property protection class, which we'll be having again at the huge convention coming up in August. 17th, 18th, and 19th at the huge convention. Remember, if you haven't bought your tickets for the huge convention yet, we will be putting out some links and all that. But you can, if you go to thehugeconvention.com, type in spray wash as your code and get, I believe it's $25 off this year. So you can do that. Anyhow, so what do we mean by, whose fault is it? And I think that the discussion we had online today, although it was about taping things up, and to me, what I consider to be an absurd conversation that went on, I understand some of the logic behind it, though, and I see some of the arguments. And so I wanted to touch on some of those because I think that there are some valid arguments in certain directions, depending on how you go. So one of the things
I want to say that I don't know what I had a couple of people reach out to me about some questions. Hey, somebody's saying something over here.
Oh, I'm going to read some of
it. And I haven't had a chance to respond. Be on Facebook. I stay so freaking busy during the days. But let me grab something because
it's so busy that he doesn't have to, and that is an awesome thing. But I'll go over some of what was said. I'm not going to go over all of it. Because I think that a lot of it isn't worth going over. And this isn't about starting an argument or being right or wrong or any of those kinds of things. It's more about just educating ourselves. And so before we get started, because both Ray and I think, especially on this topic, we've done a lot of research on this, but we're not giving legal advice. We're telling you to consult with your attorneys and consult with your I almost said real estate agent, but your insurance agents and all that kind of fun, happy stuff. But that's one of the things where this started was about an insurance agent supposedly said that you can cause more damage or something like that by taping things up. You can put yourself at more of a liability risk by taping things up and trying to protect things, and that you absolutely shouldn't be protecting things, and you shouldn't be trying to tape things up because you put yourself more at risk. And one of the arguments that the original poster made was, I've been electrocuted several times, trying to do that kind of stuff. I think some of what he said didn't even make sense. But if you're being shocked by doing something like that, that's telling you that there's an issue with the electrical system. So why wouldn't you be trying to protect that? Doesn't make any sense.
Call horse shit. I'll go ahead and say it. I think you're full of shit if you're saying your insurance agent tells you not to put any kind of plant and property protect, not to tape an outlet and do that. I'm sorry. I'll just say I think it's horse crap,
Well, think about it this way. And I asked him if he could have the insurance agent put it in writing, because here's the thing, that they're not going to. And if they are, they're stupid. And the reason being is that they are then accepting your liability, right? If they tell you in writing, do not take precautions to safeguard a house, I mean, that's just stupidity to begin with.
Yeah. Well, and keep in mind, there's a huge, huge difference, Doug, when you say between your insurance agent and the insurance policy that you have.
Yeah.
Because I could have a Liberty Mutual or a Joe Walters policy that says I'm limited to 3 stories, but my insurance agent could say, "Oh, you can go up to 1 million. You can go up to 1 million stories." No, we're good with 1 million stories.
But that's actually a good point though too, because on some of that, the insurance company may cover it because it's been done, even though it's not something that you're paying for, right? We had that, but most of that boils down to workers' comp. We had the discussion, I think, once before where the workers' comp, the insurance agent said, "Oh, sure, well, you're covered, blah, blah, blah." But we knew that we weren't if we went over the 3 stories, right? And I think that was mostly with Joe Walters at the time. That's been way back. But then the underwriter had come back and said, well, we likely would cover the issue, but then we would come back after you for that money,
right?
If you would, because they are insuring, but you did that wrong. They would come after you, or and then on the workers' comp side, they would pay the workers' comp claim, but then they would drop you. And
correct, and you're never going to get insurance again, or you're going to have much higher rates. It's the same, like another discussion that's been having lately about, let's use one of these on the end of a pressure washer. Okay. Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, probably nothing's going to happen. But if something does happen to your customer, to your worst case scenario, your employee, whose fault is it going to be? Whose fault? It's going to be yours, because right there it says 350 PSI, and you've hooked it up. You've hooked it up to well, if you've hooked it up to 351 PSI that they can substantiate and it fails, you're going to have a problem.
Exactly. I wonder if you can retrofit a red tip onto that.
Well, yeah, but you have to use red tape.
Red tape for the red tip, yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody said they couldn't believe that I responded to that guy. Yeah, the reason that I responded was simply because that was really bad advice, really bad stuff. And I wanted to get the dialogue going to hey, if you've got some kind of proof, I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to say,
100%. 100%. Show me the truth. Show me proof on there. There's some great comments coming on. Show me proof, and I will absolutely. I can't say I will say I've been wrong before, and I'm sure I'll be wrong again.
I'm probably wrong every single day of the week.
This goes in, care, custody, and control. I got the general $4 million for $25 a month. I'm covered for sure. It goes into the care, custody, and control. Are you in custody of that house? I mean, you're in control of that job site. The house is yours when you're working on it as a professional.
Booyah!
It's yours, and you have to do everything in the world to take care of that house.
That was one of the comments that was made in that thread that I thought was one of the best and absolute gold. It was that, the moment you start spraying water, whether you've taped things up, you didn't tape things up, you had coffee that morning, you didn't have coffee that morning, you've got a $20 million policy, a $5, none of that matters. Once you start spraying water, it is your fault. If it would, and I think the comment was something along the lines of, if it gets to court, the lawyer is going to say, did it work before you got there?
Yeah.
Was it that way before you got there?
Right.
Was it burned up before you got? Was the house on fire before you got there?
Mm-hmm.
Was there dog poop in the yard before you got there? It doesn't matter. Was it there before you started?
And and also knowing the person that started this conversation, I also remember him. There you go. Care, custody, control. That's what they drilled into us. Our mission when I worked for the Department of Corrections. That's right. And something happens to an inmate that you have care, custody, and control of. Guess what? It's your ass. Yeah, most likely it is. It was everybody's ass except for those people that were in charge of watching Epstein.
Yeah. It's nice the way he suicided himself,
Yeah, that was such a shame.
Yeah.
Oh, we hardly knew him.
Yeah,
he suicided himself.
I want to go back up. There's a couple of comments in that thing that I wanted to. Oh, so like one of the comments that was made, and look, I'm not picking at anybody here and all that. I just think some of it is just. You have to look at who you're getting advice from, right? Whether it's from Spray Wash Academy and you feel like it's wrong, hey, then don't go with it, right? But this person had said, ask the homeowner to shut off the electrical prior to cleaning, and it's in his contract. Okay, so let's say that, you can't, I'm going to get into that whole you can't contract away liability stuff, right? So let's say that you put in your contract that all the breakers, all the power has to be off to the house before I can wash. Well, first of all, you're probably going to lose a bunch of work to begin with. But secondly, let's just throw out there, what happens when they turn the breaker on?
Yeah, and a box is filled with water.
It's still your problem. It's still your fault. It's still going to happen.
That original poster, I remember the poster that I understand it was, I remember looking at a video and I very nicely said to him, because he was showing off his stealth rig, which was in an old S10 with a camper shell on it for whenever he doesn't, it's not logoed up and he doesn't want to be seen on job sites. And he's literally talking about it had a pressure washer parallel to the tailgate. So you let it down. The first thing you get to is a belt drive pressure washer with no guard on the belt. And I was very, very nice and respectful. This is before he challenged me about, that no company could do $1 million a year. And I was like, you really may want to put a belt guard on that. Oh, well, my guys are smart enough to know not to put their fingers in that. I'm sure they are. Mine were smart enough not to go and do stupid shit either. But OSHA isn't there for stupid shit. OSHA's there for accidents, and just like if you run 351 PSI through this and it blows up and hurts somebody, if you've removed a belt guard from a pressure washer and God forbid
something happens.
If something happens, an employee gets a sleeve in there, gets a finger put in there, gets sucked into that thing, your company is most likely not going to survive that fine. You know, now you as an owner, you can adjust the tension on that pulley while it's running.
I dare say if you connect it to something that has the ability to go over that 300 psi, you might get a fine by OSHA if that were to, just because it's connected to such a device.
And yeah, true. Sorry, Doug and I were in a heated conversation, and I had hit the live, and I forgot that I had hit the live, and that's why I wasn't trying to be rude, but we had to finish up the conversation. So, but Doug, you're so right. I mean, this is where you have to be so suspect of the information that you take from people. I understand there are people that do not have your best interest at heart. There are people out here who just really feel the need to hear themselves talk. There are people who will lie to you for no other reason than they're liars. I mean, I can't say they're profiting from that. There are people who drive box trucks around with 8-foot letters that say $99 house washes on it.
And that's a good point. I have a point to that. Finish up what you're saying, and I got a point.
No, I mean, you just have to understand. It's like what I talked. I made that post this weekend. Whenever I went through a Wendy's, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's a boarded up drive-through." And think about this: how, and some of the guys who may not be on Facebook may not have seen this post, but you remember when was that? 10 years ago? Maybe hell, I don't even remember. But McDonald's went in there and did 2 cashiers. They did a cashier and a food pickup window. Well, immediately thereafter that, everybody and their brother, Wendy's, Burger King, Crystal, all of them went in there and did 2 cashier windows. You don't go to one of those now where a second cashier window is actually open. It's usually either boarded up or there's just a bunch of crap sitting in there, and it says go to next window, a handwritten sign misspelled wrong, go to next window. So McDonald's knew how to do it, knew what they were doing. They had a plan to implement it. So many of the other people said, well, they're doing it. It must be right. That's what we're going to do. But they never actually went and did a study and said, this is how, it's like, but McDonald's is doing it. So it must be amazing.
It must be working. It must be right. All we got to do is do it.
But no, that doesn't mean, but if they're doing it, it means you have to have a plan. But just because somebody does it doesn't mean that you should be doing it either. I guess is where I'm going with that in a very long, drawn out way. Sorry.
Well, and don't forget that like you were saying, though, who you're asking and who you're getting your advice from. This person was also posting that this advice was coming from his insurance agent. Okay. That his agent was the one saying, oh, you shouldn't tape things up. You're increasing your liability by taking the precautions. Well, first of all, I think you should get another agent. But secondly, like you and I said in the very beginning, it's not your agent doesn't matter. Right? What is an agent? What does an agent do? An agent basically is the middleman between you and the insurance company. That's it. The insurance company is the end all be all. The agent is just the person in the middle. So if the agent says, yeah, it's perfectly fine to take a red tip, put it to your eye and squirt it all over the place, great. Doesn't mean that it's truth or reality. So first, ask them to put it in writing. I doubt you're going to get that because they are making themselves liable then for what you're saying. But secondly, contact the underwriter. That's who you need to get your information from. Check with your underwriter, check with your own attorney for your area on all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And here's what I want to answer this. Yeah, that's Scott. That's got to be Scott. But yeah, I'm still feeling that those damn 8.5 gallon pressure washer, gear drive pressure washers are getting heavier the older I get. They used to not be as heavy as they make them now.
I thought Scott was still a man, but maybe not.
He still is.
Old, they're too heavy and all that kind of fun stuff.
Off topic, how many gallons of 10% for an average 2,000 square foot roof wash at 5% strength? I'm guessing you mean 50% strength. First off, I think that's too hot to shoot your average roof at.
But he is talking 10%, so you're gonna have
cutting it in half. Yeah, I mean, it's a probably ought to, you probably reduce that down by another 30% or so.
And there's also there's a lot of unanswered parts to that.
Variables.
In other words,
it really is.
How thick is the infestation? How steep is the roof? How area? All of those things depend. Whether or not you've got rain gutters, you might use more. I know sometimes we would use more when we had rain gutters, which was rare for us to have rain gutters.
I'm gonna say between 8 and 20. I think that'd be somewhere in there is your answer, between 8 and 20.
I'm going to say back in the days when I batch mixed, something like that, you'd probably be, boy, I think I probably would have made up a 65-gallon mix. And so do the math on that.
30%.
And I wouldn't use it all up though. I would use most of it, and then I would use the rest on
it down and make a house mix out of it.
Yeah. That, yeah.
Yeah, RPC, exactly. I mean, you might be saying that because he bought a program and he bought review. Yeah, bought.
I'm going to go back and look at a couple of other statements.
PWM, first answer could have stealth rate because of me living in Chicago. Yeah. Hold my beer, said Texas.
So one of the comments that was made in that thread was, it's really no different than rain hitting your house. And then there was a reply that says, I believe the chemicals we use are more conductive than water. That being said, I don't tape. If no GFI, I advise they flip the breaker. So there's a lot going wrong there, in my opinion, because, well, first, the one guy is right. We're not spraying rain. Get that in your head, right?
Yeah.
So you're not spraying rain, and you're spraying massive amounts right at the wall, not, raindrops coming down here and there and kind of all over the place, right? But also, because there was also another part in there about, if the GFI is faulty or getting up to code and, all these kinds of things, right? But the thing is that even whether a GFI is faulty or it's not, doesn't matter when it comes to where the power is. The GFI protects the power coming out. There's still live power behind,
still hot behind it. Unless you trip that breaker,
you still got power. And going on,
it kills everything upstream from that, or no, I'm sorry, it kills everything downstream from that breaker, but not upstream of that breaker.
And that Burke, send me one and I'll blow it up. That is definitely Scott. That has to be Scott.
Oh, no, it's absolutely Scott.
He can blow anything up. So you had said something too about the guy with the box truck and had $99 house wash on it and all that kind of stuff. In that thread, there was also comments about, and a lot of this goes out of that thread. It's got nothing really to do with the thread, but the thread said something about there's nobody that's willing to pay for all that extra time that you spend in taping everything up and protecting stuff and this kind of stuff, which is, if you're advertising $99 house wash or $149 house wash on the side of your big truck, right? You're telling people I'm cheap. That's my opinion, right? So when you show up, yes, they are expecting a cheaper price. They may not be expecting you to do the extra stuff like taping off receptacles and protecting their property, but it's also where I'm going to beat you 99% of the time. When I go out to do the bid and I start talking about what we do and you didn't do that, you're going to lose.
My customers are expecting that, I mean,
absolutely.
My customers are wanting that. I just gotta share this, because there was a comment on here about just because you go against the stream doesn't, being contrary.
I wanted to say something about that
issue, but I gotta share this. And sorry, I was distracted. Had to find this. Share.
And I actually think that's right.
But so yeah, so.
You can you can speak to the contrary of something. Which one are you trying to share? You just totally
right here. Does that
just because you does not mean you're useful. That is a fact right there.
Yeah. Amen. But I'm different. Yeah. You're also silly. So,
broken fork.
oh man, just
Yeah. I want to go over again. There was other ones. There were so many funny things in there that I was like, "You're right." Like what?
Yeah, people do like to hear them. So, Scott, Scott StreamYard just doesn't like. I guess we maybe should take him off block. Yeah. And you're right. It's about risk management. It's not a matter of frying a socket will happen, but rather when it will happen. And how many times have people come to us at the plant and property protection, and they've said I don't do that, and then we'll get the call because we stay in contact with
I
students.
wish I would have done that.
It's like, oh my God, I just I was sitting there in class telling you I don't do that, and then the next week I guess the electricity gods heard me mocking them, and sure enough I burnt a plug up. Be proactive versus reactive.
Absolutely. And look, you can it's your business. You run it how you see fit. You do it as you see fit. And the argument that was in that thread, and we hear it all the time, is that I've been doing this for 30 years and have never fried a receptacle. And I doubt that. Number one, you may not know that
you may not know it, but you probably have.
That's number one. But number two, I thought about I had a thought today, and yes, Scott, I do have thoughts, and sometimes they're good. And that thought, way back when, let's say 50s and 60s, right? Although, and code is another thing that we should talk about. Although things were different and they weren't as safe, if you would, then, I would dare say that contractors back then took a lot of pride in what they do. It wasn't about quick slam, bam, thank you, ma'am building. They would take pride in what they did. They made sure everything fit just right. Things lined up. That's why things lasted for so long, right? So even though you may have some older receptacles sometimes, I find sometimes they're in better condition, sealed off wise, even though they've been sitting out there all that time, than some of the newer stuff is. And Ray, what is that thing? You're over there. What does that thing say on the back of it?
On this? Well, that's what I was going to say. Keep talking, because that's what I show you. I've got a sealed one that I'm actually opening up here.
A sealed one.
Yes. So I have to have my glasses. So
this is something that a lot of people don't understand and realize. So I'm going to go back to the whole issue of the code.
Understand.
A lot of guys will say
this is a weatherproof, wet weather area. Weather, and this is actually called. Hold on.
Does it say waterproof or water
grade weatherproof? It does not say waterproof.
There is a distinction
between weatherproof and waterproof. Okay.
And we are not spraying weather.
Right. We are spraying soap that reduces the friction of water, that allows it to spread. And we're spraying something that's salty, that's more conductive than regular water. And it says detailed instructions inside.
So when you get back into the code argument side of it, a house built in 1950 may have been built to code. It just doesn't meet today's codes. So when you're talking about the code argument, you should be saying today's codes. But remember this, the house that was built in 1950 does not have to meet today's code unless you alter it.
That's right.
So what does it say, Ray?
Important. Turn off power to receptacle at the circuit breaker or equivalent. Duh. Note, base should be installed on a smooth, flat surface. To ensure a weatherproof seal, a 1/4-inch bead of non-hardening silicone caulk not included must be placed between the gasket and the mounting surface.
And how often have you seen that happen?
I mean, seriously, it's in the directions right there. I have literally never seen an electrician install of one of these plates. I've never seen caulk in most electricians' trucks. And I'm not saying they're bad people, but it's a common knowledge. Well, it's got the foam gasket on there.
The foam gasket is all you need.
Foam gaskets dry out over time, And I've seen some of these on irregular surfaces, on brickwork, on oh my God. And you grab it. If you grab these plates, and they start rocking back and forth, I will pretty much guarantee you that they're not going to be wet, and it still doesn't say waterproof. It says weatherproof. But if you grab it and it wiggles like that, there's a good chance that seal is not. Yeah, I agree. It does blow it. I saw we have somebody in South Africa, and thank you so much for watching. We appreciate. Yep.
At 2:20 in the morning. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Tommy, it is scary. Nothing scary when you hear that pop and all of a sudden you see fire.
Yeah. When that smoke starts coming out, it can stop your heart. That's for true.
I want to answer the question on the proportional high flow for gas roof pumps. I don't know. I've not actually heard any feedback personally, positive or negative on a gas on a high flow with a gas roof pump. I know that we have them, and they work. I actually had somebody come by who installed a high flow proportioner on a 24 volt 12 volt pump. That probably makes no sense whatsoever, but they had installed a high flow proportioner on that, and so it's a double headed 12 volt pump that's got one motor, two 12 volts that comes out to a T and goes in, and I was amazed at how that thing was slinging through the high flow proportioner.
I got to tell you. You really should go flip that box over just to piss Tim off. I'm just saying. I'm going to do it when I come over. I'm going to flip the box over just to totally piss you off. Just because. Tim, love you to death, man. I'd have to flip that thing over. There you go.
There it is.
There it is. Now, see, I don't know if Tim's watching.
No. But he's got better things to do. So.
Oh no, I
Dale,
totally
actually, your name is correct on here. It's showing you up here. So.
Hey, we're doing our live, and you should see the picture behind Ray. Period. Look at what he did with your proportioner. Period. I think the guy's an ass.
Wow. Wow. Amazing.
So he'll come on late, think it's all your fault. Yeah. I can hear it now. That's going to be so awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, Manuel. I think that's good practice. Very good practice.
Did you do the one about the keypad garage door opener?
No, I did not. I did not. I haven't seen it yet. I've been messing with Tim's.
Has anyone had an issue with a keypad garage door opener? Yeah, we've actually fried them things in the past, and it doesn't matter if it's a keypad or even if it's a whether it's just got the wires to it. We've definitely seen that, seen issues with those. So I definitely recommend taping them off. He's saying, "Send a picture, please." Let me do this. Let's see if I can get it.
Oh no, you're not. Guy's got night vision scopes.
He heard me, so he flipped it back over.
Oh, too much fun. Oh, that's awesome, Palm Tree.
That's him in the picture running over to flip it over. Now you got to put it back.
Oh, he got a $150 tip on a roof that he did.
That is awesome.
Hmm. Criminals resist arrest. They still get arrested.
Or they get away with it.
If I see it, if I foobar it, I fix it. Absolutely, Doug. And that's what you and I were talking about. It's your fault. It winds up being your fault whenever you have. That's command, conduct, custody, and control of the job. It's your fault.
Even if you don't foobar it.
Well, but that's why the insurance policies that are worth the flip say command, custody, and control. They understand that it's important that you have custody of that project.
He says to see if I was watching. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. He's got a mad face on there. I guess. Yeah. All right, enough of that. I had fun now that I've been able to mess with Tim. That's all I care about.
Tape, rag, wipe down the areas after moving the tape when the job is done. I can literally tape a house in 10 minutes. You know what? I'll give you another example. Like you go out, you're doing a commercial property, and let's say it's something that like where the doors are open, you're having to do it like while they're open, or you're doing it before then. Let the manager out there see you wiping down the door sills, wiping down the drip area, so customers aren't going to get dripped on. Oh, is it extra work? Yeah. Do they love you? Yeah, they do.
A story along that line was I was cleaning the front glass on the front door, and you can see the reflection through there. And I was doing something, I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I saw a lady walking by, and I saw her looking, and she was doing this. She just kept looking. And so I'm seeing her. She doesn't know that I'm watching her. So I'm getting intent with tiny little detail, and I'm scrubbing and rubbing and rubbing and scrubbing, and I'm doing all this stuff that I wouldn't normally do because she stopped and she's watching me work. Right. So after, I don't know, it seemed like 5 minutes, but I know it wasn't. 30 seconds goes by. She's like, does one of those head nod things, pulls out her phone, takes a picture of our truck with our logo and phone number and all that on it, and walks away. Heck yeah, I'm doing everything I can to get that extra sale, right? Showmanship. Even if you don't necessarily believe in it, which I'm going to tell you, taping things up, you should believe in it. But even if you don't, the extra showmanship of it can be worth it. Even if you don't see the need to cover some of the plants sometimes, the extra showmanship, it is a protective factor, number one. But number two, that extra showmanship can absolutely land you more jobs.
I don't know if you can see, I'm going to point right there beside that proportioner. Do you see what that is right there? If I spun that cabinet around, you would see 20 rolls of red tape. And Paul said, we don't have a source for red tape. I said, well, we're going to find one because at my power wash store, damn it, we're going to carry red tape because I have the goal of making it where somebody doesn't have to go to anywhere else. And it's something I believe in. And I went out and bought a couple of cases of red tape, and I don't even really make any money on the red tape, but by God, I wanted the red stucco tape in my store because I believe in it that much.
Yeah, it's good stuff. The only thing is just don't forget, don't tape the bottom. I know a lot of guys do that. I highly encourage you not to do that. I know Ray used to do that. Don't do that. That will trap water and not let it out.
RPC 100%. You can always use a blower over doors, over drop areas. Yeah, great way to.
And it's so easy once you take the tape and all that off. If you just take your rag and you dab around those areas, you can take that chemical, that leftover chemical, and get it on that area that's dirty. Because that's one of the things that sucks about taping, especially on something like stucco. You'll have this nice clean area, and then around the receptacle, it's all dirty, nasty.
Dirty where you have it. Yeah, a little rag in there where you're not actually wet enough to make drips on there. Yeah, that's great. Old English furniture polish, great thing that comes in real handy for door streaks. I totally agree.
Absolutely. I don't know if we've caught a lot of those questions.
Yeah, I went back and put most of them up, so they were good. So I think we're good on that.
Good. All right, let me go back and look here. No different than rain. Got that one. Got that one. Got that one. Got that one.
So Big Rob just had said, not familiar with stucco tape. Is it better than using the blue painter's tape? I would say it depends on what surface you're on. The blue stucco or the red stucco tape is nice because it doesn't leave a residue like duct tape does, but it's waterproof. Yeah, it's waterproof, and unfortunately, the blue painter's tape is not always waterproof, and it will start to dissolve and come apart on you. The red stucco tape is designed to adhere to masonry. It's a masonry tape, so it works really good on brick, really good on stucco.
3M also sells a double-sided clear tape. I think it's about 1.5 inches wide, and it is very sticky. But it's when I say very sticky, it's not. That's not the right term. It will stick to just about anything. And so we found that works really well on the inconsistency of brick as well as on stucco. It's like $15 a roll. So, and it's not a very big roll. So it's expensive, but it works really, really well, and it's reusable. So we had kind of gone to that right before I sold the company. We had switched over to that, but sparingly, only on an as needed thing, because it wasn't needed in most instances. But when you ran into that brick area or the stucco, man, that stuff, it really worked gret, because not only that, you could screw it in and then put your plastic right to it.
We were talking about a little project at one point, and I had gotten several different tape samples to try, and some of it was 2 inches, and it was a double-sided, very, very squishy, sticky tape, but it's almost like sticky hot glue, a flat, sticky hot glue. Lexo is the name of that.
Lexo,
yeah. And here, I'm going to let you take this one because you have a margarita. That means
I need a refill.
Yeah, I get to get a beer because I didn't have one yet. So
does anyone else add plant and property protection as a line item for $0 on an estimate? Which I think is a great idea, helping showcase that that's what you're doing. But I'll tell you, there have been jobs where we actually did a line item and charged for the plant and property protection. So when you get to a scenario where it is just crazy amount of extra plant and property protection that you have to do, hey, why not go ahead and charge for it? Show them the value of it, right? And that's where I throw that line item price in there. But I can definitely see the value in an everyday proposal, normal proposal, just saying plant and property protection and then showing a $0 line item. I think it's a smart idea to do.
Or even included.
Right. Yeah, like I said, we did. The one that always hits my mind on that is, I think I'm going off of memory, and so forgive me, but I think that the roof, because we were doing 2 of them side by side, and we were charging, I want to say $1,300 a piece for the roofs. And then we were charging $650 a piece for the plant and property protection. And, I had the discussion with the property manager. Normally that is included, but all of what you have here, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it, no rain gutters. And so everything came down. It was going to be, oh man, it was a nightmare. Right. So
I remember your pencil.
We were going to spend half a day just setting up the plant and property protection. We charged for it. They paid it.
I remember the pencil trees, that you charged extra to wrap on there.
Yeah. Those are the pencil trees. So again, here in southern Louisiana, we don't generally have rain gutters. And then the front of the house will have almost like a dormer coming off. And then they'll have valleys coming down the sides. And those 2 valleys will drain directly on top of landscaping or the pencil trees. And so I came up with, you take your extension pole and you wrap your tieback around the extension pole at the top, clamp it at the top, and then you can run your extension poles up and around the tree, completely covering the tree, bring it all down into a bucket. Works just absolutely freaking beautiful to protect your landscaping.
So I'm going to actually in the middle of doing a video on one of these right now. When I first got these a few years ago and started using them, they changed my life. Sorry, it's totally off the thing, but it just reminded me I'm doing the video. So this is a double turbo lance.
And I'll be right back.
All right. Now, this isn't really for plant and property protection because this will mess some property up. I always see the guys out there jumping all over the turbos and going, "Ooh, aren't these amazing?" But you want to really, really, really screw some stuff up. Double turbo, that's your friend right here. So this is great for doing wood decks or soft stucco, washing your dog. And I'm kidding.
Remember,
No,
listen to who you get advice from.
yeah, yeah.
So watch out.
No,
For
these are absolutely. I tell you where these things changed our lives was doing concrete cleaning on curbs, because you can actually hit the. Let's say you've got a curb. You can hit the top face and the top plate and the side face, the front face of a curb with these at one time, and turn, a 4 or 5 pass motion into like a 2 pass motion on there. Really some pretty cool stuff. So
while we're on to that, I want to say we're going to be making some announcements with a newsletter coming out here in just a couple of days anyhow. But excuse me, one of the things I want to touch on is, especially since I've been sick the last, I think, 1 or 2 rounds that we've been doing here. And Ray has been coming from the store, and we've got a new YouTube channel for Ray and his store, and Ray and Tanya. And I have to tell you, Ray, and I've already told you, but I really like the format and the training aspect of it. So that you'll be seeing a lot more of that, where Ray will be coming from the store and talking about different items that are there in the store, pulling stuff off the shelves. So if there's something that you guys are saying, I wish I knew how this worked, or I wish I knew how to do that, or I wish I understood this or that, or whatever those things are, inundate him with emails, phone calls, texts, and just stop in and make sure he knows what it is that you need to learn about, so that we can do that for you and get those things out there so that you have the ability to learn about them right there in his store, where he can just pull an item right off the shelf and show you how it operates.
Wild West, I was going back to the comments. Wild West brings up a great thing. Good time to, this gas hike really is a great reminder. Check your damn tire pressure. That is something that is so vital to 1, safety, 2, to fuel economy, and 3, the longevity of your tires. Oh man, it's so important. Yeah, this I highly recommend that double. I'll put videos up of it actually in action tomorrow that actually seeing us cleaning a couple of years ago with it. Dug a trench in my gravel driveway with mine. Yep.
Which reminds me, while we're doing that, I'm going to put up a link to the new YouTube channel. And if y'all haven't subscribed, I highly recommend subscribing to the new YouTube channel. I will find it here shortly. Oh, hey, if I look in the right place, right?
Now I've got Tim blowing up my phone.
Good. That's too funny.
I'm just waiting for this like red laser dot to like come flashing across my eye from the outside. Yeah.
All right, now I found it.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Yeah, the surface cleaner. We put a new video up on surface cleaners and talking about bars and important. The difference in surface cleaners. There's such a huge price range of surface cleaners that are out there, and some definite differences on them too.
So this is the new YouTube channel for the. And the name will change there, but you'll still be subscribed to it. But that'll be the new YouTube channel for the spray wash, the power wash store of Tallahassee.
Yeah. The more subscribers I get, the faster I can change the name on there too. Once it comes.
Yeah. So everybody that's on here, subscribe this evening. That would be completely awesome. Do the whole.
Just go on there on YouTube and look for Power Wash Store Tallahassee. It's on there. Oh man. So Doug, what's your week like?
What was my week or this week that we're starting?
What's your week ahead like? Let's talk.
Well, I've been my daughter, 23 years old, just bought her first house, and so I've been doing some work over there. I've been sick, so I've been really slow at doing all that. But part of that is that I got to get that taken care of, and then I'm hoping that it's going to be back to the studios here pretty soon. Got some things going on that are preventing that, but I'm hoping that's going to happen pretty soon. Then we got. I think in another 2 weeks, I go to Florida. My wife jiu-jitsu tournament in Florida down there. So another tournament. She's awesome.
I got to spend some time with Scott. And so now Scott's name is showing up. Go figure.
Why?
I don't know. I guess you took the block off. But yeah, so I carried Scott some equipment to Orlando this weekend, and I understand that's a service that we all go for 4.5 hours away. Keep in mind, Scott didn't buy a tip. But yeah,
he didn't buy a tip.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't buy, like, I didn't drive 4.5, 5 hours to Orlando to deliver him like a green tip.
Oh yeah, a tip. Yeah. No, he only bought what, 4 units or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Lordy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, let's see. Doug, I talked to you once on the phone about cleaning steel roofs, and you asked if I had termite barriers, guards. What the heck are termite guards or barriers? So a termite barrier, it's not really a termite guard, it's a termite barrier. And so what the termite barrier is, literally, it's a chemical that's poured all the way around the foundation of the house. If you ever walk up to you walk up a front sidewalk or a carport that's attached to the house, driveway that's attached to the house, and you see a whole bunch of little holes that were drilled in the concrete, and then they've got these like caps or something over the top of them. You're like, what the heck is that for? That is for that termite barrier. So what they do is they drill holes in the concrete ever so 10 feet apart, 3 feet apart, depends on where you're at. And they stick a tube down in there, and they inject chemical inside there, and that chemical is to kill the termites, and so it's called the termite barrier. And they do the same thing going around the house. They'll dig a little trench against the foundation, and they'll make a little mound there with the dirt, and then they'll put the chemical all inside there so it seeps down against the foundation, and that is called a termite barrier. And it literally is there to kill the termites. But there's some arguments out there that the chemicals the bleach will counteract that chemical and totally tear apart their termite barrier. That's one of the reasons that we also switched and we went with the Tyvek, because we can create a trough and get that chemical to flow minimum of 4 feet away from the foundation, so we know that we're not damaging that.
Yeah, that would be very interesting to really do some more research on, because it's something we've heard before. I've never had any substantiated proof that bleach would neutralize the old chemicals that they use to treat termites with. But in modern building, at least for the past 20 years or so, I dare say, they used to use such noxious stuff that, I mean, it would kill anything and everything. And then through regulation, they stopped. They started using friendlier chemicals. And now, we really have more of a Centricon type system, which is a bait and kill the termites over, get them away from your house and go kill them over there, versus actually pumping poison into your house. But it would, chloridane. There it is.
Well, they're actually stepping away from that nowadays.
Are they?
I think it's going to become less and less of an issue, because now they're doing the bait traps around the house more so.
Right.
And
well, yeah, that's what I mean. The Centricon system is the bait trap.
Right.
Yeah.
So what they're doing now, you put those little things in the ground. They've got a little deal on them where you spin them off, and then you open them up and you look, and they'll have chunks of wood inside there. That's not chemical, it's just wood. And these things aren't checked. I mean, very rarely are they checked. They're supposed to be checked just about every month. But then you open them up, and if all the wood is gone, the termites have eaten it, and then you put the chemical in, and the termites come and they eat that, and they take it back to the nest and they kill
Right.
it, queen kind of a thing. So that's going to be a different system, if you would. Michael J said something above too. So above that, oh, you're doing that.
Yeah, he used to be.
There used to be quality control.
I'd love to talk to him some about that.
And the knowledge from that can be used as a sell point for everything we do. Absolutely.
I'd love to get up and talk to him about that. Chemical pest control.
Matter of fact, I'll go down that rabbit hole a little bit. If you're continuously running into that argument about the pest control operator said they're going to kill the termite barrier, that they're going to no longer have their warranty if the house is cleaned with bleach or whatever. It might be a good time to go and have a sit down one-on-one chat with that particular company of what you do, how you do, and why you do, and why you're not disturbing their termite barrier, because they can become an advocate for you instead of against you.
Chemical pest control. We schedule work 30 days out. I don't know if that helped in the end. Yeah, and you're right. And Gene's right. In Florida, you actually have to go and pre-treat the soil. You actually have to show a termite pre-treatment before you build. It's laid down like prior to the slab being put down. Not as good as the old Chloridane. Because that shit killed everything.
Nothing survives.
You use that on your ex-mother-in-laws. I love you guys.
Yeah, I don't think that would work. What's this one here? I talked with one pest control guy that sprayed for bees and said, wait 14 days and I'd be fine. Oh, that's not what I thought I had read. I thought he was spraying to kill the bees. I'm like, that's not going to go. Yes, prior to the visqueen. Visqueen is just a plastic that's put down.
Yeah. Visqueen is
prior to that.
Yeah, visqueen serves that also as the moisture barrier as well.
Vapor barrier, yeah. Exactly. So all these things are so, and that's where I say too about, when sometimes when we talk about codes and we say, well, everything should be up to code. Well, that's great, but to whose code, what code, when code? The codes of the 50s are different than the 60s and different from the 70s. And, there are some things that would be impossible to, just bring it up to code. Let's take really old houses with the old knob and tube wiring, or with asbestos on the walls and all that, where code nowadays doesn't allow for asbestos.
Well, I'll give you an example. Like, Tim recently, 2 years ago, bought a condo in Destin, and I think it started out with he wanted to put like a new electric outlet in somewhere, and because you're in a high density condo thing, so a new outlet has basically resulted in his condo being completely stripped back to concrete block walls. Because you have to do everything to codes and to modern business codes. And now at this point, it's aluminum wire isn't allowed anymore. Oh, wait, we found out you have aluminum wire. You've got to rip out all the aluminum wire, literally all the way to the panel box, put in all new copper wire on that. Oh, wait, you've got to, put fire collars on everything. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. I mean, and it has basically generated a rebuild of his whole interior of this unit over in Destin.
Started down a whole path that just
it was a hell of a rabbit hole,
Hey, Brian, I want you to know I did get your text. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much.
Oh, without a doubt, caulking, recommend Lexo.
Yeah, the only problem I had with the Lexel was that it was on the side of a house where the second year when we went back, it's just how the sun had beat down on it, kind of heated it up. and then it caused it to drip down the sides.
Really?
It actually, yeah,
Noticed that.
but it only happened the one time. It might have been a bad batch of Lexel. I don't know. But it did make me gun shy. But Lexel works really great. I mean, you just put
It's
it on.
instantly waterproof.
You can spray right away. It's not a problem.
Oh, absolutely. And not so much in my area because it still gets cold up here. And I mean, not like north cold, but it still gets cold. Hell, we were at 22 degrees killing my brand new garden Saturday. But no, there's a ton of people that'll go and invade Tampa, Orlando, Gene O'Neill's area, Miami, Naples, Fort Myers, Fort Lauderdale. A lot of guys come down from north and wash.
You know, I'm gonna say so. I don't know that I've ever said it to Gene personally, but for those of you guys that follow, Gene really puts out some really good information a lot of times.
Good content.
I mean, I want to make sure I say that, Gene. I really appreciate a lot of the content and comments that you make.
He's a pretty fart smeller.
He's a pretty fart smeller, and I just want you to know that we appreciate.
And vice versa. No, Gene's one of those good guys, you know.
Mm-hmm. You'll have to take me out on the boat now, right?
got to make maybe he'll let you go snook fishing with him. So
yeah, there you go. Well, since Tim's not inviting me down, so you know it's going to have to be Gene, right?
Yep, got to be.
Well, that or Scott.
What can we add to porous concrete and get paid to make life more livable?
My question is, what can we add to porous concrete? Paid. I don't get the question. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. What can we add to porous concrete?
I don't know. Maybe he can change that up a little bit. So marine text.
The only thing I'm thinking of is maybe like some kind of a sealer or something like that, or a coating or something of that nature. But I don't think that's what he's asking.
Oh Lord! So not like this series of bait traps essentially attracts termite. Also seeing the caps off where a kid or pet can reach into one and get poisoned. You know,
they don't have poison in them.
Well, some don't have the poison. They just have the freaking blocks of woods that nobody ever goes back and checks on there. And I see
you're actually not supposed to have the poison in them.
I see a lot of abandoned Centricon systems. You know, is what I see. Nothing beats an annual termite inspection, especially in Florida. Like where they get in there and knock on the door frames and crawl under the house if you got a crawl space, and you know that Gene says he'll take you fishing, but you got to pay for the gas.
Oh, yeah. So he wants $3,000 up front. I see.
Yeah, exactly.
The gas is more than the boat.
Let's see here. Pre-wet porous concrete with water, so it's like a glass of milk that's already full. So when you apply, you're only treating the surface.
That's kind of the same theory with wood. So when you're going to put bleach on wood, you know, you pre-wet the wood and then spray it. That way, it doesn't want to fully absorb because it's already wet. I get that.
Have you ever seen that self-draining concrete? It's like a porous concrete.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing stuff. It just sucks down through there. It's really cool.
That was that and the walks that were done that way. That was something that we looked at with the cyclone, because one of the things that we talked about was in those areas that the concrete or the pavers and all that, they actually get clogged over time. And so something like the cyclone could go through and pull that stuff back up to make it now drain again, which I think would have been permeable concrete. That's what Scott's saying. So I think that would be a great use for something like the cyclone. That would have been the right use for that.
In theory.
In theory.
I think any discussion of the cyclone should end in theory.
Well, the sad part, I try to stay off the topic of that as much as possible, but I really could have dug that if it would have done, for me what they said it could do. I mean, I would have loved that machine, and knowing its actual what it could actually do, I still think it could be a great machine if it were used for the purposes that it is really designed for, and not just sold to every contractor. I think that's the wrong way to go. That's not what you tell me, Scott, just so you know.
Oh,
Scott and I actually had a conversation once, not about cyclone, but just about how he can go like cleaning concrete. And I think it was about the cyclone where he's like, I can do more than my guys can do. And, you know, whether it's pushing a surface cleaner or, you know, riding a machine or whatever, I can do more. And I agree with that. You know, when sometimes people ask, well, how much concrete can you clean in an hour? Well, that depends if it's me or if it's one of my guys, because, you know, I've got one of my guys that was very particular, and he wanted a complete nice square. And so he would just do that one nice square. Okay. Me, I don't care what the beginning result. I want to get as much concrete cleaned as I can, as quickly as I can. Right. So I don't care that it looks perfectly squared off in the beginning. I want to make sure it's done correctly and completely.
yeah.
By
In the end, it'll be perfectly squared off. Yeah.
So.
So Elite likes me better than you.
You just engineered that, Scott? I hate you. Did I say that out loud?
You know, it's one of those things we talk to talk to contractors about. Well, how long do you think it would take to do X? And it's like, well, here's a great example. Somebody was just talking to me about a 500,000 square foot roof, and I'm using very large numbers, but these aren't actually the large numbers, just in case anybody else is out here on bidding this job. They're not the accurate numbers. The real numbers are actually larger than this, but it was a 500,000 square foot job, and it was a roof that was going to have to be surface cleaned. No bleach being used on it. And I said, one of the things we talked about was, okay, how many square feet can you do in a day? I think that's one of the things that you're you
have to look at.
Not only what do you do in a day, but this is, where you and I talk about knowing your numbers. How much can you do in an hour? How much can you do off,
you have the right water supply for
right.
it.
If the water supply is perfect, how much can you do? If the water supply sucks, how much can you do? How much can you do in an hour? How much can you do in half a day? How much can you do in a full day?
It's going to be a hot, sunny day, burning up, drying everything up too quick.
And also, how much can your employees do as compared to you? Are they going to handle 80% of your workload? Are they going to be 110% of your workload? Are you actually going to push a surface cleaner? Are you going to be the air traffic controller and be going, you, here, there, go? That kind of thing.
Are you, the funniest thing to me about cleaning concrete, time frame wise, and sometimes it seems like no matter how you try to train the guys to do it, they don't seem to grasp the concept. You see them and they're not. But hose management, right? You keep your hose on one side, you clean that side, and then you work it so that your hose is. So many guys, they turn around and they face their hose, and now they're constantly having to move their hose out the way. And I'm like, I always want to pull my hair out. Stop, man, move your hose. It's always in the way. It's always in the way. All you got to do is turn the opposite direction of the hose every time, and it's not in your way ever.
Well, you got to be an OG to keep your hose in line.
That's it.
Damn right.
My wife's doing jujitsu, so she's keeping me in line.
Gene, I'm the same way. To me, surface cleaning was the most god-awful. It was purgatory to me. Put me behind a surface cleaner, and it's just like, maybe if I had a lot of it and I could really get into a book on tape, I could deal with it. But man, the little 15-minute driveway, I couldn't stand it. I hated it. Like I wouldn't mind doing 20,000 feet. Put me on 500 feet and I'm dreading it.
For me, I guess I'm the same way. I didn't like the small driveways, but I like to do large areas. Just because, first of all, it was great for me to clear my mind and think about different things. And it was actually good for my business for me to go out and do large areas of concrete, because my mind. It's so boring. You have to find some way to use your mind and be productive in your thinking process. So that's the only reason I like it. I like the money of concrete.
Surface cleaning sidewalks and gutters is the worst concrete cleaning there was. There is. No, it was up until the double turbo tip. Now gutters aren't so bad anymore.
There you go. And you can add more and more turbo tips, but you got to add a bigger machine and all that kind of stuff.
More
water is always the problem.
Mm-hmm. Got to know how to place your hose. Absolutely. Yeah. Suction in the vortex. You want bigger, faster, more production. Douglas, it is 10 after. I got to run. I haven't been home. I didn't get in until midnight last night because of those traffic accidents. We got to start wrapping this thing up. And I got here at 7:30 this morning. Tanya took Fan off to
Orlando?
Panama City. She got in from Nashville yesterday and it's spring break, so they headed over to Panama City today. And so I just said, well, hell, I'll just stay here till the show and do it and not go home. So I'm getting kind of tired. People drive by and miss you by a foot. Yeah, they do. I agree. About time I did something. No kidding.
Well, it's been great. It's been real. It's been fun. And we appreciate y'all as always. Pleasure hanging out with you on the Monday evenings as we do. And again, if you haven't already, go to the new YouTube channel. And
so much easier. Just search it for Power Wash Door Tallahassee.
It really is. I don't know if on the other end you can actually copy that link anyhow.
Yeah, true. I want to go on this I want to talk about this real quick. That's one thing that I see people skipping consistently on washing. Whenever you do that exterior, do the damn curb and gutter. I mean, it makes the house pop. It will make the house like all the other houses on the street, and then all of a sudden just that white ribbon of curb that it makes the house it frames out what you've done on that house. And I've noticed the neighbors will notice that more a lot of times than the actual clean house. Take the extra 5-10 minutes and do that. And
my problem with that is that I sell that, or I sold that as an extra.
No, you could. I mean, but that could be one of those things you could either sell as a service, or if they don't do that, you could say, you know what? We decided to do this for free for you, ma'am.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your business. We sure appreciate you. Even if they don't wind up, buying it. So.
Yep, that's true.
Oh yeah, I can sell stuff. Call us tomorrow.
He's selling.
I'm selling. Just started, but good Lord, yes.
And that's why he's so tired. Those almost look like vacuum units behind you there, but I know they're not. I can't tell in the picture.
No, what they are is they're pump up sprayers on top of hose reels.
Oh, hose reels. Okay.
Because it's damn well
hose reels.
They're reels. They're
reels of
hose. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Now,
we've got 1 inch, 5/8, 3/4, half inch.
I was sitting there. I was trying to figure out
Curry Tech. Yeah, it's rolls of Curry Tech, and we do have hose reels too. That we have both Water Dragon and Titan.
I haven't, because I got out just as Paul was starting to make those, and we need to get off here and get you home. But comparatively, the new ones that Paul's making, the Water Dragon reels to the Titan reels, you should do a video on that.
Okay.
Just on reels in general. Why? So, because like even the Hannay reels and all that, I've had Cox reels, Hannay reels, Titan reels. I've never had the Dragon because he came out with it too late. But just some of the differences. And one of the things that I noticed right off the bat with the, I think it was the Cox reel, though it was a pressure reel, the pin snapped off within the first couple of days. It's like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, so we're sticking screwdrivers through there to keep up with it.
I'm not I've had the Cox reels before. Whenever I first started, I had Cox reels, and I'm just not a fan of any powder coated reel. And I don't care if it's a Titan powder coated or a Cox powder coated or whatever, because eventually that powder coating is going to get breached. And if it was like the Cox reels that I had, then you're going to start getting some rust in there once that, because it's not stainless or aluminum underneath it, and you're going to wind up having a problem on there. I mean, I had Titan reels that, hell, the first Titan reels I ever bought probably 9 years ago were still operational. Now, a lot of them had the pins, done. And don't get me wrong, I had some that never made it too. The bearings went out, or they were starting to get a little, wonky on there. But yeah,
the thing for me was replacing the motors. If they got too much bleach splashed on them too often, they would corrode up on the inside, and then you'd have to replace the motor.
That's the rarest thing in the world now is to find electrics. We had a very small allotment of like 3 electrics, and they went just boom, gone. And then we only had electric 12 inches too, but I'm shocked at how few electrics. I know we're trying to source our own electric motors right now, which is a nightmare to find. We've had electrics on order from Titan for a long, long time. So
very good. Yeah, well, gentlemen, I know, Ray, we got to get you out of here.
That's all right. But Elite was just mentioning the whole thing. Yeah, the powder coating, just the whole thing just comes off in sheets.
It'll come off in a big peeling.
If you're thinking about getting reels, I really recommend don't get powder coated one. You can either get aluminum or stainless, but
if you're just starting out and it's all you can afford budget wise, sure, it's better than nothing. And I mean, some of my coated reels did last me for a few years, but you can't beat the stainless. You just can't.
Yeah. No, you really can't. I mean, it's wow, that was a deal. Electric 28 Cox. Somebody screwed up on Amazon, priced at $300.
That's a big reel.
That is a huge reel. My biggest ones I ever had were those 22s.
And $300. That's wow.
Mm-hmm.
For a 28-inch.
Yeah. If it's got powder,
you don't have enough hose in your store to fit on a 28-inch.
You want to bet? Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
That's a lot of hose.
Yeah, I don't after Scott bought 1,000 feet of it, but
there you
go. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go ahead and say, anything in this industry that's powder coated, well, I'm not actually gonna say that because that's very misogynistic.
I don't think I want to know.
It's got powder coating tires, or my wife would say if it's got tires or testicles, it's eventually going to give you problems.
That's it.
Yeah.
Of which I didn't have neither.
She took mine. Mine are somewhere over in Panama City right now.
Yeah. She takes them with her, and then you call her up and, honey, can I do? And she's like, she hold them up.
Yeah.
What was that?
Can I see those for a minute, please?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to remember that I had them. That's all.
Oh man, yeah, powder, and I think powder coating for your water line is fine. I would really, hell, golly, well, I said we're going to go, but I'll get on the subject just for a minute more. We're seeing more and more and more things, and Tim and I have been recommending this for a while. I don't think it matters as much with the pressure lines because you have a good high pressure reel, but especially with the soft wash lines, man, the reels are becoming more just a place to store your hose than they are. And I'll do this whenever I do the video on the reels as well, Doug. But the hose is really a good place the reel is a good place to store your hose versus actually spray out from it. Because, you know, if you can shoot through 100 foot of hose on a job versus 300 foot of hose on your reel, I'd even say that's really true with the pressure washer itself. I think you're going to be more effective by going through the least amount of hose. I know you're going to be more effective going through the least amount of hose possible. I can't prove that on pressure, but I can definitely prove that on a soft washing type system.
Why can't you prove it on pressure? I mean, there are mathematical equations.
I could if I sat there and done it. I guess I haven't seen it with my own eyes to say I haven't proved it, but I've seen it with the booster pumps that I could say, yes, I get more distance shooting out of 100 foot of hose than I do out of 200 foot of hose. I also know that every time, especially on a low pressure application, if y'all think about a reel, you've got, so going into the reel, you have a swivel. That's a 90 degrees. Then we're in the diaphragm of the reel, you make another 90-degree turn like that. And then coming out of the center part of the reel, you've either got a 90 or a 45 coming out like that. So you're introducing 3 90s into that high flow, low pressure scenario there. Well, what happens with that? Every time, you know, you get, think about a bend in a river. Every time you get a turn in a river, that's where sandbars happen. And that's where pressure gets weird and you get the weird swirly current things. And every time you're forcing water to go and turn 90 degrees, weird shit happens on there, and you get higher pressure on the outside, lower pressure on the inside. And you're starting to do that, and you're switching water back and forth. Whereas if you come right out the tip of that booster on a short length of hose going straight on there, you're not losing as much pressure on things.
Well, but that's what I was saying about the hose. I mean, like, and I may get the numbers wrong, so forgive me, but I think in 3/8 hose, like every 100 feet, you lose 300 psi. That's actually very measurable, if you just put a gauge on the end of your hose. So, and we've done that, right? So there have been jobs where, you know, we got to stretch out, say, 800 feet of hose to get out there. And, you know, you're supposed to be popping 3,500 psi, but by the time you get to the other end, you're not. And, you know, that's something you can actually measure. That's a quantifiable amount.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You know,
we have to think about, okay, that's going to take us longer because we got to move slower, right, because we can't get the pressure coming out the end of it. It's just, it can't happen. And then that's where you switch to 1/2 hose going for so far, then dropping it down to 3/8 to help with that.
And that's where you become a man pulling around the 1/2 hose.
Yeah. That's why I came up with that lawnmower and added the surface, because that lawnmower could pull that 1/2 hose. I didn't want to do that.
You know, and this is why I hate going down these rabbit holes and continuing on the conversations, because now I sit there and think about, well, you know, everybody's wanted to go Siamese and add stuff on and do this and that and the other to there, and let's get more flow. But, you know, inside diameter is only going to handle as much water as the diameter can handle. No matter how high, fast, bad, much you're pumping through there, this gateway
only moves so much water.
This gateway is only going to handle so much versus this gateway. So, like Scott sitting here saying, now start with 1/2 on the long runs on there, because I hear all these guys talking about, yeah, this bad mamma jamma, we've Siamese together 2 of these 8s and we're getting 16 gallons a minute.
But you're not.
You're really not, you know, and I'd like to see the guys that are actually putting a pressure and a flow gauge on there, because unless you're really changing up your hose situation, and not only your hose situation, but your fitting
All your
situation,
fittings, every fitting,
everything on there, you're really
tips,
not
your bars,
getting what
all
you
of it.
think you're getting, because your system is only as good as the smallest gateway that's on
The
there.
weakest link. Everything is as strong as the weakest link.
Yeah, screw Siamese, just buy big boy shit.
There you go.
All right, seriously.
And I'm glad that you're not doing the shameless thing of buy the big boy stuff from the power wash store of Tallahassee. Yeah.
I do have a brand new 10-gallon a minute one right there.
Right there. There you go.
That black one is 10 at something. I don't know. 10. I looked down, I was like, holy crap, that's a 10. So
Scott will eventually become a big boy and buy one. There you go.
Scott, it literally just showed up. I would have sent it to you. God knows I would have sent it to you. Is that an 800? Yeah, that's an 800. And yeah, I would have loved to have sold it to you, but it just showed up. So
only two?
Great. He's got 2 10s already. Now I got to drive back down to Orlando. I'll have to drive back up so we can go drinking. All right.
I'll swing by and pick it up on my way down.
All right. Sounds good. You can do it. He'll come meet you.
There you go.
Let him bug you for a day or two.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, thank y'all so much for your time. Doug and I really appreciate y'all. It means a lot to us, 2 old farts, that somebody wants to listen to us. And tape your freaking outlets. That's how we started this show. So
That's it.
tape them up.
Do it. Just don't
See
get
you
the bottom.
guys.